contempt of Congress. Girl, you better get those papers together. But you know what? She can't get the papers together to prove that she's innocent because she's not. Yeah, I said it, and she did it. Welcome back, warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Have an announcement. I did make my 20,000 subscribers a month goal for the month of April. Thank you all so much. Your support means a lot. Also today, I have updates on the Fani Willis Georgia interference trial. Lots of updates, and it looks like Fani Willis is trying to push the court date up 5 months. Yes, that's what it looks like she's trying to do. It just came out a few hours ago. This information has been less than a day, and I wanted to share that with you all. But before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're alerted of new content. Don't forget, I'm also on Rumble. Chat with me, Linda B, all one word, on Rumble. And you can email me at chatwithmelindab@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, let's get into it.
What I know about investigations is they're kind of like peeling back an onion. And as you go through each layer, you learn different things. To be a responsible prosecutor, you must look at all of those things in investigation to be fair to everyone involved. This is a very important matter, as you've already highlighted.
Excited! Talk to you real quick.
This is not a set date. It still has to be approved, and attorneys for the defendants can push back against this.
But they should come prepared for a fight. They should know that my heart is still in this work. My heart will continue to be in this work, and I intend to be the DA for the next 4 years and 9 months.
Judge McAfee could rule at any moment. Are you feeling confident in your defense of this motion to disqualify the case?
That's where I don't want to comment because it's commenting on an active case, and so I won't comment. But I think we presented the law, and I'm always hopeful that a judge will make a decision that is in line with the law.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tensions escalating on Capitol Hill as Congressman Jim Jordan calls on Fani Willis to appear before lawmakers.
This, I think, would obviously, if there was any evidence of wrongdoing, it would put the DA's office under even more fire than it is now. Question is, what does the appearance do to the case moving forward?
Well, what do you think it does to the case moving forward? I mean, there's a lot there now, right, for consideration beyond the actual charges themselves.
That's right. And if this case does, in fact, move to a jury trial, then you're going to have to be, you were already going to have to be so careful when it comes to jury selection, but so careful to ensure that the jurors, not that it's that they don't have any view of the district attorney or that they have no view of Trump, but that they're able to put their view aside and just look at the facts as presented. The water has already been so muddied with respect to so many people have an opinion, of course, of Trump. Now, in addition to Fani Willis, this is a great gift to the Trump campaign in terms of what they can say outside of the courtroom.
Fulton County DA.
And see, this is why it was so important, when Judge McAfee told Fani Willis, don't make this about race. And she defied the judge's orders. She constantly, over and over again, made this whole thing about race, which of course is what the left does. Everything is about race. I'm not saying things are never about race, but in this particular case, it is not. It is not about race. And her father, was a member of the Black Panthers, is what I came across some information about that. Fani has said herself some comments, and that can taint the potential jury pool so that it's going to be hard for them to, look at this objectively, because Fulton County is predominantly minority, mostly Black. And then when you have a Black woman up there saying they're being racist against me because I'm Black, and some people might be sensitive to that based on their own experiences, is tainting the possible jury pool. And that is why Judge McAfee wanted Fani not to mention anything about that, but she said she was going to do it anyway. She said that it's just some challenges to being Black. I am not a fan of people using the race card. Just saying.
Fani Willis is facing a looming deadline. House Republicans in Washington are threatening to hold her in contempt of Congress if she does not produce documents relating to her office's spending of federal funds.
Well, this stems from a whistleblower complaint alleging Fani Willis misused federal funds.
The lawyer at the center of the attempt to remove Fulton County DA Fani Willis from the 2020 Georgia election case testified before the state Senate committee. She talked about what exactly she says she found that she believes should disqualify Willis.
Well, Chris, that's exactly what it does. So to be very clear, what's happening here at the State House is different from what is happening a couple of blocks away at the Fulton County Courthouse. In that situation, the judge will decide whether or not Fani Willis will stay on the case. Now, here at the State House, what lawmakers are doing is they are looking into whether or not there was any misuse of state funds and the misuse of power for personal gain. Those are the two issues they're looking at here.
So you've gone back and reviewed all of the Fulton County Commission's minutes and records to see what requests were made and if there was a resolution granting the additional funding?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Was there ever a request for additional funding for a special prosecutor to pursue these election cases?
No, there wasn't. And I knew that before we got the district attorney's response, but subsequently we got a response from the district attorney's office that said, we didn't do it. We don't have to do it. I'm a constitutional officer. So their argument was we don't have to comply with those statutes or those rules because she's saying she's a constitutional officer, so she doesn't have to get county approval. She can spend her budget however she wants.
Then why would she have gotten county approval for the other 55 attorneys?
So what I've surmised is that was because those were staff members. And so she went and asked for additional budgetary money. She needed a higher budget. So for those 55 people, she went and asked for more money because she didn't have enough money. And once she was awarded that, it's her position now that she can spend that money however she wants.
Doesn't have to use it for 55 new staff. She can use it for special attorney general.
Yes.
Not attorney general,
special
DA.
counsel.
Okay,
Right. Yes. Essentially, that is their argument in their reply briefs that they filed in court, that they have inherent authority. They don't have to comply with the county ordinances, don't have to comply with the statute.
So they don't have to comply with our state statute.
That they have, once they're awarded the budget, they can use that budget however. I mean, how their motion, and I'm happy to send the motion, it's public record, but how their motion argued it was, if they get $5 million, they can pay that to one person if they want, as long as because the voters authorized her to do that. So the county, their position is the county authorizes a budget and she can pretty much has inherent authority to do it however.
Even though she specifically asked for the money to prosecute backlogged homicide cases in Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay. What's your opinion on that? You think the statute or county procedures permit that?
No, I do not. And I cited several different county.
I mean, so Fani Willis's office cited that they can do, if the county gives them the money, they have inherent authority to do with the money, whatever they want, even though the money is specifically for a certain use, they can do whatever they want to do. That is what Fani Willis's office said. And Ashley Merchant is like, no, that's not really, So even if they gave $5 million, they're saying I can give it to one person if I want to. That is corruption, Fulton County in the state of Georgia.
County ordinances. So when I read the statute, when I read 15-1820, and it makes sense, it makes sense intuitively. As lawyers, when we bill, someone is reviewing our bills. I mean, that's just, that's the process. If you're in private practice, your client authorizes your bills. If you're doing public defense, which I've done public defense, I've done appointed work, the governing agency approves my bills and they will cut them. They will regularly cut them if they're too high. And so there's always some type of budgetary authority that's reviewing everything. So I thought it was very strange that in this case there isn't one, and that there's really no oversight because it is public money. So I know that it's an elected official, but it's still public money. And I don't live in Fulton County, so it would probably aggravate me more if I did.
There's the article.
So we have the code section up that you're referencing for prosecuting attorneys getting additional personnel. That's what Mr. Wade would qualify as, correct?
Yes. So under B,
and I just want to read this right here. Let me see if I can read it. The district attorney in each judicial circuit may employ such additional assistant district attorneys, deputy district attorneys, or other attorneys, investigators, paraprofessionals, clerical assistants, victim and witness personnel, and other employees or independent contractors as they may be provided for by local law or as may be authorized by the governing authority of the county or counties comprising the judicial circuit. The district attorney shall define the duties and fix the title of any attorney or other employees of the district attorney's office. Personnel employed by the district attorney pursuant to this code section shall serve at the pleasure of the district attorney and shall be compensated by the county or counties comprising the judicial circuit. The manner and amount of compensation to be paid to be fixed either by local act or by the district attorney with the approval of the county or counties comprising the judicial circuit. So there needs to be approval. Okay, there needs to be approval. You can't just spend things, do anything that you want. Fani Willis is doing any and everything she wants to do. I mean, anything she wants to do. And it's making me think, is she really going to be thrown off this case? Is she really going to be disqualified? I've always said that Democrats use Black people to do their dirt. You've got Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Fani Willis. They use us to do the dirty work. So in my mind, the way I was thinking is that they know that they've got this Black person, because the Democratic Party is a racist party. It's why I keep bringing up the Black Democrat politicians. They get them to do the dirty work. And then if things go wrong, then they, the Black politician, is imprisoned or fined or disbarred or whatever. The people behind them pulling their strings they get away with it. That's why they get Black Democrat politicians to do all the dirt. So a Black Democrat politician, because of how the Democrats use Black people, are essentially the worst kind of politician that you can have, because they're going to get their pockets padded to do their own people wrong. So that's why it's that way. Not that Black politicians are inherently worse. It's not that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Democrat Party uses Black people in such a way. And almost anybody, if has a price, if the price is high enough, a lot of people will do it, no matter how crooked it is. And it comes with a certain amount of fame, a certain amount of notoriety. Your face is everywhere. And people like that. The arrogant, prideful part of them likes that. So, and a lot of people are like this, all kinds of people are like this, but the Democrats use Black people. That's just how it is. That's just a fact. They use us over and over. Malcolm X said they're called puppets. Thomas Sowell calls them mascots. They are the true sellouts. Make no mistake.
Good evening, Congresswoman. And so what provoked this request for documents to begin with? What made you think that her office was using federal funds inappropriately?
Because we have evidence that she has been receiving federal funds. And obviously we have oversight as to how they're being spent, being the Judiciary Committee and Congress. And so it is our right to determine whether she is spending those funds appropriately. We have the same issue with Bragg in New York. They're using federal funds to engage in political persecution and to go after political enemies. We also need to find out to what extent she has corresponded with, worked with, coordinated with the White House in her efforts to pursue this litigation against Donald Trump and other citizens.
Wait, when you send money to a DA's office and it gets sent around the country from the Department of Justice, and I understand the oversight, is it just, here's 12 million or here's 12 million, spend it on fixing the jails, adding more assistant DAs? I mean, are you specifics? I mean, or do you just sort of send a check?
You don't just send a check. They are supposed to use that money for specific purposes. And that's one of the reasons why we have the oversight. It's just not just that they get a blank check to do whatever they want to do. And again, when we're talking about political persecution, which I think it's very obvious in light of what has happened over the last couple of weeks and the mini trial that we watched play out in the court down there, addressing her relationship, her inappropriate relationship with one of her underlings, and whether that has colored this litigation and her effort to prosecute Donald Trump. So again, I think that we have every right to determine whether our money is being used inappropriately and whether she is the conduit by which the White House is attempting to hamstring President Biden's primary political opponent.
Are there some specific documents you've requested that she has not provided to date? I know that she says it's sort of a rolling process, and I don't know if she's dragging her feet or not, but nonetheless, are there some specific documents that you want, that you think that she's sitting on deliberately?
Well, some of the documents that I would like to see relate to the relationship and the coordination and the interaction with the White House. When her former paramour was billing the county, he has line items in there for meeting with the White House in Washington, D.C. for 8 hours at a time. I think it would be entirely appropriate for us to have some understanding of what took place during those meetings. And again, we need to get back to the fact, or to the question of whether Joe Biden and the White House are coordinating in these efforts to prosecute Donald Trump.
Yes, they are. I can answer that question for you, because during the hearing, one of the hearings, it came up that Fani Willis met with the White House back in February of 2023. They keep a log of when you come in and when you leave. She met with Vice President Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden knew all about it. The J6 committee, yes, that happened. So this was all a coordinated effort. I have another video that I put out. This is all a coordinated effort with the crooked DAs, the crooked attorney generals, corrupt judges. All of this is an extended effort that reaches broadly to try to make sure, because God has the final say, that Donald Trump does not ever get back into the White House. This is a deep state thing. It is big, it is deep, and the tentacles run very deep. Okay, and we all need to understand that. And don't think that just because someone is going after you, that they're coming after you with all these charges, doesn't mean the charges are true. It doesn't mean that the indictments are true. When someone does something that the evil powers that be don't like, the evil powers conspire together to come up with something, and they cross their T's and dot their I's. So those on the other end who are watching it play out, it looks like the evil power is telling the truth, because they've got other people saying, well, they did this to me and they did this, and they paid them some money. They paid this one some money. Even members of their own family. See, the members of their own family saying it's true. You can pay off anybody. Make the price high enough. Make it high enough. So all the truth is going to come out. It will not be escapable. The word of God holds true. Whatever's done in secret comes to the light. And it's going to be flaming too.
Donald Trump is clearly not only the front runner, he is the candidate for the Republican Party. He is beating Joe Biden in all of the polls.
There's one particular entry that I have a high interest in, and I can't figure this one out. I know about the meetings at the White House, and I got that you have the interest in, but there's one entry in his invoices where he said he met, I think, with White House counsel in Athens, Georgia. And for the life of me, I can't figure out. I mean, I get, going to the White House and maybe there's some negotiation about documents or whatever, and I await the answer to that. But why do you think that, what's with this Athens, Georgia meeting with the White House counsel? You don't expect that one.
So I think that that's also very significant. We need to find out that. But we also have learned that there is an assistant district attorney in her office who is being paid $40,000, $50,000 a year, yet has a side business that he is a political operative, a Democrat political operative, where he's actually raked in hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in furthering the Democrat agenda. I think we're entitled to find out more information about that relationship and why he's in the office. And as you say, there were meetings with White House counsel. I think we have the right to understand what took place during those meetings.
We're following a dispute right now between Fulton County, Georgia, essentially Atlanta, the DA here, Fani Willis, and her dispute with a powerful congressman. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio, an ardent Trump supporter, recently threatened to hold Willis in contempt of Congress for not providing information about how the DA's office used a federal grant. But in a defiant response, Willis said she is cooperating with Jordan's committee and suggested what Jordan really wants is to slow down her election subversion case against Trump and others. She wrote in part, "Nothing that you do will derail the efforts of my staff, and I bring the election interference prosecution to trial."
The Georgia case, delayed for 2 months by a challenge to DA Fani Willis, finally moves forward today in Atlanta. Judge Scott McAfee will hear arguments that the charges violate Trump's free speech rights under the First Amendment. Trump's lawyers say the case seeks to criminalize political speech.
DA Fani Willis firing back at Republicans seeking info about her use of federal funds, saying, quote, "Nothing you do will derail the efforts of my staff and I to bring election interference prosecution to trial so that a jury of Fulton County citizens can determine the guilt or innocence of the defendants."
Tension.
I am appalled at Fani Willis. She is being threatened to be held in contempt of Congress. And she is fighting back like this. Nothing you do is going to derail this. Nothing you do. She got balls of brass. That is crazy. Oh my word. This woman is off the chain, as we used to say.
And escalating on Capitol Hill as Congressman Jim Jordan calls on Fani Willis to appear before lawmakers. The embattled Fulton County District Attorney facing an ultimatum: show up or face contempt of Congress if she doesn't comply with the congressional subpoena.
Congress is trying to find out if and how her office misused federal funds. So Fani Willis's office is saying that she's innocent. Their office did nothing wrong, but Congressman Jim Jordan is saying they haven't sent over enough to prove that. They're looking for yet another slice of the pie. So in a letter we obtained from Jim Jordan to Fani Willis's office, it reads in part, quote, "Your office unlawfully planned to use part of a $488,000 federal grant earmarked for the creation of a Center of Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention to cover frivolous, unrelated expenses." We know the allegations here center on a former employee who said the district attorney fired her soon after she raised concerns about how one of their employees hoped to use those federal grant money for things outside of the scope of that federal grant, the Youth Violence and Gang Prevention Program. The congressman, Jim Jordan, he's emphasizing the seriousness of the matter. He's saying that failure to adhere to the subpoena would result in severe consequences. As part of that letter, he says, quote, "The committee expects that you will produce all responsive documents to the subpoena in the categories prioritized by the committee. If you fail to do so, the committee will consider taking further action, such as the invocation of contempt of Congress proceedings." And that's what's really new in this story here. So we've reached out to Willis's office in response for this subpoena. We have not heard back from her yet. We'll update you when we do. But when this subpoena was initially sent out back in February 2nd, she sent us this statement. She says, in part, quote, "These false allegations are included in baseless litigation filed by a holdover employee from the previous administration who was terminated for cause. The courts have ruled they found no merit in these claims. We expect the same result in any pending litigation." Marky, right now, it's still unclear whether or not these federal funds in question were used or misused improperly or not.
Let's talk about this Georgia case. And we know that Fani Willis looks unbelievably compromised. It looks like she's admitted her relationship with Nathan Wade, whose credentials are weak to be a lead prosecutor on a former president of the United States. They're going to be questioning today a lot of his expenses that he was paid and where they used to go on vacation together. Look at some of this stuff. You probably can't see it there. $800 for a Napa Valley hotel, $3,000 for a Royal Caribbean vacation, plus to that Norwegian cruise, on and on and on, 100 flowers. All these bills, are they related to the money he's getting because of the job she gave him? And what does it mean for the case?
Yeah, she used taxpayer dollars to help Nathan Wade, who spent it in all kinds of ways, but he also used that money to go after President Trump, for goodness sake. So, yeah, I think she's compromised. And back up a second. She charged President Trump and 18 other people and was looking to charge 3 United States senators. She put this out, including the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And now we find out, and we're talking to this individual, now we find out there's a whistleblower in the Fulton County DA's office who says that Fani Willis also misspent federal funds.
Wow.
That's why we've subpoenaed Ms. Willis for information related to that and other issues. We want to know what's going on here, but she sure looks like she's been compromised in this entire ridiculous effort that she undertook several months ago.
I just hope they blow up the case because she has no credibility and she led the charge, and it seems to be all about politics.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is facing a new deadline in the ongoing investigation into her office's use of federal funds.
The federal government has a right to ensure that federal dollars aren't being misspent or misappropriated, and that's either for personal use or even diverted into another program.
U.S. House Judiciary Chair Representative Jim Jordan issued this letter Thursday, saying Willis's compliance with a previous subpoena was deficient to produce documents proving her office did not mishandle federal money.
Okay. She is facing contempt of Congress. That is what Fani Willis is facing right now. And she has still not provided the documentation that they are looking for. She has gone after other higher officials as well. That's what I meant when I'm like, this woman is ballsy. You know, she really is. I've never heard of anything like this before. I mean, she has got some nerve. Don't you think so? Give me your comments. I mean, first, and let me tell you, I had already done a story about the employee that she, a video about the employee that she terminated some months ago. Yeah, months ago. I think this was back in February. I did. And there was an audio leak. You guys can go back and look at that. But yes, she terminated this woman because the woman brought to her attention that another employee in the office was using federal funds. And as was stated, when you get a federal grant, it must be used for what it is specified for, not just for what you just want to do with it. And that money, as you saw, was supposed to go to Youth Violence and Gang Prevention Center. It did not go for that. And most of those kids are Black. And so this is what I mean, because Fulton County is a largely minority population. So we talk about just get somebody Black in office, just vote this way. And they don't do anything for their communities who are Black. That's why I say Black Democrat politicians are the sellout. And Black people always telling conservative Black people like myself that we're the sellout. Nobody's padding my pockets. I'm not getting a whole bunch of money to do a whole bunch of videos. I'm not being paid by the Democrat or Republican Party or any party to do anything. Okay. But Fani Willis was elected to serve her community. And she gave all this BS about the fact that she was going to be a better DA than the prior one. But yet she was messing around with her employees. Nothing was done right to bring on Nathan Wade. He wasn't approved. He was paid way too much money. She was seeing him romantically and all of that. And federal grant money was misused. And she still hasn't provided the documentation. This woman stands a chance of being truly in big trouble. Contempt of Congress? Girl, you better get those papers together. But you know what? She can't get the papers together to prove that she's innocent. Because she's not. Yeah, I said it, and she did it. If you want a right outcome, you better get the right kind of person. That's what I'm talking about. You all give me your comments. Please give me your comments on this. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. This woman has lost her ever-loving mind. I'm looking like, is she for real? When she's got some connections in D.C. at the highest level. So that's why she's feeling like she can just do what she wants to do, right? There comes a time when you got to pay the piper. You got to pay up, sister. And don't just use, this is racism. No, it's not. Stop doing that. Stop playing the race card. It's not that. It's not that. Thank you all so much for staying with me this long, watching the video all the way to the end. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you're alerted of new content. Have a blessed day. And as I always say, march on, warriors.